Thanks so much for joining my Game of Thrones stream. Well, it's the 15th anniversary of the TV series, and these books go way back. But yeah, I actually had never read them, and I've never seen the series. So I decided, hey, since I'm writing a sequel, and my sequel is kind of about the years 0 AD to the 1800s, I wanted to find inspiration from some sort of book series that kind of covered that era. Now, while this is incredibly fictional, I mean, the whole map is a fiction. It's obviously inspired by some real empires. So we're kind of going to see the breakdown. Now, I thought that perhaps I'd eventually become a fan. However, after reading it, skim reading, and I did not get to the end, although I do have all the books, so there's 8 of them. Yeah, I have all of them, but I was kind of disappointed with the first one. And you guys know me, I'm a Tolkien fan, so in comparison to Tolkien, it just wasn't what I was expecting. However, there are some redeeming qualities, so I did want to share that. And here we go. So, in terms of what's the plan for today, I've got a presentation. It's going to kind of go over some of the surprises that I've had with this show and book series, like things that I had never heard about, which is strange because I think the series did go quite viral. But just the fact that, there were still things I never even knew were part of this. And then, yeah, after that, I'll go through my live reaction of actually skim reading the first book, and which is a video. Yeah, I recorded myself with my first reactions. It's quite funny. And then towards the end, I will show you one of my first YouTube videos that I ever put up. It was a vlog of me going to one of the castles where they filmed the scene for the Game of Thrones series. So I have that at the very end because I've taken that video down. So I'm going to replay it here. But yeah, anyway, thanks so much for joining. And if you've seen the show, please seen the books and you have things to add, please let me know in the comments. Yeah, here we go. So, in terms of a presentation, I'm not sure what kind of speed this is going at, so I'm just gonna let it go and kind of talk in the background. My first reaction was that it's quite an easy read. It really is, in terms of pacing and vocabulary. It's not as difficult as Tolkien, and yeah, I'd even say it's a bit easier than Harry Potter. Yeah, I know. I thought Harry Potter was way more complex in terms of storytelling. I feel like Game of Thrones eases you in really slowly into all the families and the backstories and as we go. Okay, so my first surprise was that I didn't know that there was a real map called Westeros, and that there was this ice wall, and that this is the main storyline. Okay, and that the map is kind of based on Europe. So I don't know if this is true. I found it off the internet, but I think it's relatively true that each section of the Game of Thrones map actually relates to a real segment in Europe, and the wall is either Greenland, Iceland, or Antarctica. I'm not really sure, but yeah, there was this huge surprise that there was even monsters. I had no clue that there were monsters in Game of Thrones. That really surprised me. So these people, monsters, live north of the wall. So yeah, they're the villains, and so as a flat earther, I was kind of surprised that I'd never gotten into this before, because, yeah. Let's talk about Westeros. There's this whole other section. I'm not sure if this is meant to be Asia or something. I'm not really sure. But this one does have a lot to do with Europe. So let's have a look. And again, just remember that there's this wall. There's these houses, and all the houses have family names. Like Targaryen, you guys know. And Stark, you guys know. Lannister, you probably know, but the other ones, right? And they all represent a section of the map. So if you're a writer, I think this is what you can pull off of the series, is that he did a good job of giving them all houses, and obviously it's very Harry Potter coded. But yeah, Targaryen, Daenerys, of course, Stark, Sansa, Lannister, I forget her name actually, which is quite famous, Tyrell, Martell. So they all correspond to a country, right? Targaryen is very much like Britain. Stark is like Scotland. Lannister is also England. Baratheon is like Wales. And then you get Martell, which is like Spain. So if you kind of set this up, that's how he's kind of writing this story, right? So Targaryen characters, Rhaegar, he's kind of already gone by the first chapter, but Daenerys and Viserys and Aegon. So these are kind of like the main characters. Obviously Daenerys, I'm cosplaying her today, not very well, but I tried. She has the ultimate storyline. She's the main protagonist, but actually her chapter comes in a bit later, like after a few. But ultimately, she's the only storyline that I personally even, like, cared about. The other ones I just did personally, I was not interested in. But anyway, Daenerys and Viserys are brothers. But their older brother, Rhaegar, had married a Stark, or I don't know if it was a real marriage, but they got together. I don't know if it was secret or not. Targaryen and Stark got together. This is kind of like a prequel thing happening, so this is kind of like the big reveal at the end, but hey, spoilers. And they had a son named Jon Snow. So Jon Snow is very viral and very famous, and well, this is the explanation. He's both Targaryen and a Stark, but he's kind of like a Jason Bourne figure. Like, he doesn't actually know his backstory, I think, or at least the audience doesn't know for a while. But anyway, this is why there's like this romance, quote unquote, between Daenerys and Jon Snow. They don't really know that they're kind of like siblings, right? It's kind of Star Wars-y, this. But this is why ultimately they don't end up together, because they are bloodline related. I mean, they're both Targaryens. Anyway, you get Tully and Stark. And now she's kind of like represents Germany again. They all represent a certain country, right? Stark, I thought this guy was the same guy as Jon Snow. Well, I am completely mistaken there. Characters. His name is Eddard or Ned. They call him both, and it's very confusing. But now you know. So Eddard has this family. Sansa, you know. Brendan, you know. Arya, you know. They're quite, popular or famous. So Stark family again represents Scotland. In the, I don't know, this is like not official, but in the internet culture. Stark and Lannister end up marrying, but it's not like a love match, it's like a political match. So Sansa ends up with Tyrion. And yeah, I looked into it. I think he was like nice to her, but I don't know, he seems not really nice in the TV show. Lannister has Tyrion, which is most famous, but Jaime, I think, Cersei, that's her name, and she becomes quite famous. And then their kids, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, and they represent England. Oh, they also represent the lions. Yes, this comes up later, that they all have animals, so that's why I have lions and stags. So anyway, Lannister Cersei ends up with Robert. I don't think he's very nice. He's, he's not a nice guy. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is not a love match either. But anyway, Baratheon is again Wales, but Stannis, Renly, and Gendry are related to Robert. And I'm just I know this is a lot of characters, but kind of see. I'll show you guys how they interact with the map in a bit. So Stark, you have Arya Stark. She's quite viral. She ends up with Gendry from the Baratheon? I don't know. So Stark has the wolves, yeah, like Twilight, and Gendry has the stags. Lannister, England, ends up with a French Tyrell, and so Tommen and Marguerite. Now, she's a famous actress. She was in the show The Tudors, and she played, I think I have a photo later. I forget who she played, but one of the Anne Boleyn. Oh yeah, she played Anne Boleyn. So she's like a really obviously has experience. So Tyrell House, I don't really know this character. I don't know this character very well. Marjorie and Laura, so yeah, they're not as famous house. Myrcella ends up with Martell, Spain. And again, he does not mention at any point these countries. This is just internet culture that has kind of made it make sense a bit more to your average reader. And then Martell again, Spain. So you have these other guys that are not quite popular, although he's a very famous actor. And this is some other characters that we just mentioned. Yeah, isn't he, God, what's his name? Okay, you guys know who he is. This is the maps that I'm talking about, okay? So where the throne is, where the throne of this throne is here, and it's called, I forget what it's called, wait, King's Landing. So it's kind of like London. So you have Wales, Spain, France, England, all together in this very tiny Westeros map. Anyway, Targaryen bloodline was ruling this King's Landing before the book starts. However, her father gets killed, and that's why she goes into hiding and, you know, loses everything, basically, and ultimately that's why she tries to come back. So her father was Aerys II Targaryen. He was called the Mad King for obvious reasons. He got dethroned. He got dethroned by this guy, Robert Baratheon. The Iron Throne, I'm assuming, just, like, rules over everything. And again, it's situated right here. So Baratheon gets dethroned by Eddard Stark. So this guy in the book cover. Again, I thought he was Jon Snow because he looks so similar. I think this actor is in Lord of the Rings. I don't know, I should look that up later. I think he is. Anyway, Baratheon is from this Wales area. They represent the stags. So you see how, like, very conglomerated this is, like, very together, but it's the only way I can really tell the story, I feel like, otherwise it doesn't really make sense to me. So Wales, Baratheon, Stark from Scotland. So this is kind of like this perpetual passing of the thrones, per se. Now, I'm assuming Ned is kind of one of the more nicer kings, per se. But eventually he gets dethroned as well. Spoiler alert! So again, the Stark family represents this Scotland area. Scotland. And so after him, he marries this Tully in Germany. And so their children are Sansa, Arya, Ned, Bran. Those spiral kids that you guys know. So yeah, it kind of starts off with them especially her talking about their children and how they want their children to, like, marry and basically have whatever their life sorted. Yeah, it's very like Bridgerton in that sense. Like, they're very worried about their kids marrying and whatnot. So he ends up dethroning. So Joffrey Baratheon ends up dethroning the other guy, this guy, Eddard Stark. And then Tommen Baratheon ends up dethroning Joffrey, if I'm not mistaken, for a moment. But they're actually Lannisters. So yeah, they're actually not just Baratheons, they're Lannisters too, because their mom secretly had an affair with her sibling. It's so messed up. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So they had to keep quiet and change their last names to avoid scrutiny, whatever. Okay, so the Lannisters are around from England. I think that these are Cersei's kids. She's the one of the... Yeah, I think I have a photo of her soon. Anyway, so he marries... the girl from the Tudors, Anne Boleyn. She represents France, of course, so, yeah, I think this is, like, a love match. I think so. I don't know. Again, I'm not, like, actually prolifically read everything, so I don't know where they all stand. Tyrell. Let me look her up, because I forget her name. Oh, sorry. Let's see. So, Anne Boleyn... Yeah, this is the Tudors. Anne Boleyn, actress. Natalie Dormer. Okay, her name is Natalie Dormer. So obviously she's very qualified for this job because she spent so many years with the Tudors, and then eventually she gets hired for Game of Thrones. Very similar story. Okay, yes, this is Cersei. Cersei, very famous, right? Cersei and her son. So when her son takes over the throne, I think she then becomes kind of like jealous and wants the throne for herself. Again, she is a Lannister. And yeah, so she eventually has the throne for herself. She becomes crazy, like they all do. And then Daenerys ends up taking it from her. We all know the story because I'm assuming we all do, of how it ends. But anyway, these are how the other characters end up. Another Lannister, she ends up with Tristan. Yeah. Okay, so Targaryen, right? Let's talk about her storyline, because obviously she's from her father was ruling the Iron Throne before everything kicks off. So she ends up trying to secure it, and she it has a long. So this is about kind of like a twisted hero's journey. She starts off, goes around the map, and then tries to come back for the throne. But her half-brother, that she secretly doesn't know is her brother, very Star Wars, ends up defeating her. But yeah, Targaryen Stark, and he is half Targaryen, half Stark. And I don't know if this is like a larger expose on like how England acquired Scotland for the United Kingdom. I don't really know. And then Switzerland. So just looking up at the other places that I haven't mentioned, there's this Switzerland area. They have birds. I think he's the most famous out of the characters. And then Greyjoy is Norway, and I think this guy is the most famous out of those characters. But these are kind of like side characters at this point. I just wanted to like show you the rest of the map. So let's talk about Essos now. Again, I don't really know if it's meant to be Asia. If someone can confirm it, let me know. But if you take a closer look, this is kind of where the story kicks off for Daenerys. So a lot of the backstory is kind of explained later, but it starts off in this area for Daenerys, and she kind of goes around this area for the dragon. Yeah, so the Targaryens talk to dragons. Like I mentioned before, all the families have a country, and all of them have an animal. So she starts off her story, like if you go into Daenerys chapter, she starts off here, and she's talking with her brother, and obviously they've just left the Iron Throne, or her mom has given birth to them here, out of escaping. And yeah, so it's kind of complicated because in her family, they've intermarried as siblings for like generations. That's kind of how it does it. I know it's weird because it's like completely fictional, but it's kind of based on truth. I mean, empires did do that in the past, but it is a bit weird because he had the creative liberty to write whatever he wanted, and he still chose that. But okay. So anyway, yeah. So her brother has to marry her off for some sort of political reason, and she's really upset about that, obviously. And so you kind of go through her story of being married off to someone that, quote-unquote, barbarian, per se. And then, obviously, she kind of uses the gifts she has with dragons to get her out of these situations, because she's ultimately from this area, right? And that's why she wants to go back. So I think she's one of the most redeeming characters. He's obviously, tried really hard to give her an anti-hero arc. She's not totally a villain. So again, her father being the Mad King, right? Targaryen family. She escapes that area when her dad gets dethroned. So when her dad gets dethroned, that's when her mother takes her out of this area to this area. Leaves her with her sibling kind of alone, and they have to fend for themselves. They've lost everything, and that's why she's kind of sold into slavery in that sense, through the barbarian. It's really sad. Yeah, her brother's really evil. She sells him to this guy. I think like eventually they like have some sort of connection, but it's obviously very Stockholm syndrome-y, and he's very famous. He played Aquaman later on. Yeah, if you guys remember him, what's his name? I'm actually blinking. Aquaman actor. Jason Momoa. So, yeah. I think that, oh, obviously he's like, this is not who I am, because obviously this is a very, like, villainous character for him. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Is this kind of where his career launched? Because it kind of feels like it is for a lot of them. The other guy I was thinking of, I'll get to him in a bit. I forgot his name. Okay, so anyway, she goes from this area to, I don't know, Red Waste. It's kind of very Lilith coded, because the Lilith goes to the Red, I believe it's the Red Sea, when, you know, she's kicked out of Eden. And this is when she gets her dragon. Right. In this area. It's a little baby dragon. And then she spends most of her time, I think like most of these books she spends in this area, like a lot of books. So her character kind of develops here. And after she's done with that kind of segment, I think the dragon is now a bit older. Me trying to get out of the way. Yeah, so after this part, oh god, she still spends more time up here. Grasslands, okay. I think this is where she leads a revolt with the, like, the dragon is now, like, giant. Great, costume design, I will say that, and, like, hair. Yeah, this is that scene that everybody knows. Yeah. Sad story so far. I mean, like, it's very heavy. It's a very heavy show. And eventually, she tries, you know, after she has her dragon kind of protection, she goes back to the Iron Throne area. And I think this is kind of now the end. So, spoiler alert, what happens to her? Again, with her half brother, what's his name? Jon Snow. I can't believe his last name is Jon Snow. Okay, anyway. Okay, yeah, okay. The primary reason he's named Jon Snow is because he didn't know where he was from, so people just called him Snow. But yeah, and eventually they found out that they're half brothers, siblings, whatever. And he's kind of has this redemption arc of like, okay, well, she's going absolutely crazy now, and she wants, like, the throne. And I have to stop her. So they eventually give the throne to Brendan, I believe, and hope that he's a fair ruler. I think you recognize him from the ending. I think they all vote to give it to him. I think that's what happens, but you have to let me know, because I don't really remember. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about inspiration. I think, obviously, she dies in the end. So ultimately, this is a very sad story about a tragedy. It's a tragedy. I mean, she was born in the circumstances where she had to flee her country and all that. So, yeah, did George R. R. Martin pull stuff from Tolkien? Absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of comparisons with Jon Snow and Frodo in the sense of, like, ultimately Jon Snow kills Daenerys. So is it kind of like Frodo dropping the ring in the volcano? Kind of. Saruman is kind of like Daenerys, because Saruman the Grey was, a kind of like a positive, kind of like Dumbledore. Oh, sorry, not Dumbledore. Oh my god. You know who I'm talking about. I'm missing. Anyway, he turns evil, right? So does Daenerys. So Anakin is also very much like that. Why did I confuse Dumbledore for Gandalf? Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Saruman was kind of like Gandalf, but Saruman eventually turns evil. So does Anakin. Anakin started off good, he turns evil, very much like Daenerys. She's just a very tragic story. Now, Jon Snow is kind of like Luke in the sense that Luke did not know who his parents were. He's kind of just abandoned on a rogue planet, very much like Jon Snow. So yeah, very much inspired by Tolkien and Star Wars, I'd imagine. And yeah, the sibling core, like, random kiss that they have before they know they're siblings, very much like Game of Thrones, Daenerys and Jon Snow, having a relationship without knowing that they're actually related. Yeah, I feel like he just took this, but, I can't say for sure. Okay, so now let's go to my video. So, I've got a video for you guys. I will kind of stand back, and let the video play. So, here we go. I might pause it just to like comment, but I'm not really sure because, it is like 30 minutes. Okay, here we go. 1 second. Let me just open, wait. Hey everyone, let's read the Game of Thrones series. Are you excited? Okay. And I just have to change the speed so that it's not like playing a million times per hour. Playback speed, normal speed. Okay, cool. So, right, here we go. I will be back. Hey everyone, let's read the Game of Thrones series. Are you excited? I've got all of the books here, and let's get going because there's a lot to get through. Okay, so the first page says, George R.R. Martin is the author of 8 novels, several collections of short stories, and numerous screenplays for television, dramas, and feature films. He lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to highlight 8 novels. Hey, okay, so we are on the first chapter of the first book. So far, I'm not too impressed or hooked. It's about this guy named Garrett, and he's in the woods, and it starts to grow dark, and he's with this guy called Sir Waymar Royce, and one of them is older, right? And they're asking about, I don't know, they're like talking about the dead, because Waymar's like, do the dead frighten you? With a hint of a smile. Garrett did not rise to the bait. He was an old man, so Garrett's older. I guess Sir Waymar Royce is younger? Now they're bringing up a guy named Will. Will saw them, Garrett said. Okay, so, never believe what you hear about a woman of what? Sir Waymar glanced at the sky with disinterest, like I'm glancing at this first chapter with disinterest. Sir Waymar Royce. Did I pull up a photo of them together right now? Oh, okay, so this is Waymar. So he's the younger guy, and I guess he is talking to Garrett. So let's see who Garrett is. Garrett, oh, I pictured him much, much older. Is that really him? Garrett? What the heck? Okay, so this guy and this guy are hanging out right now. So far, right away, the language is very modern. Obviously, George R.R. Martin is a relatively modern author. Like, let's see when he was born. George R.R. Martin was born in 1948. So, like, that's a few years after John Lennon, if you can place it in history like that. But he is obviously now, age 77. Tolkien, on the other hand, was born much, much earlier, and his writing was much more Shakespearean style. So I'm missing the Shakespearean archaic English vocabulary that Tolkien would include already, and it feels like it's lacking that depth. It just feels incredibly like generic and modern to me right now. But I'm gonna keep going. Will wanted nothing so much as to ride hellbent for the safety of the wall. So who the heck is Will? Why do they all look the same? None of them are memorable to me. Oh, hello. Is this the actor? Dude, I cannot freaking figure out. I think it's this one, but why is he so... Okay, this is a drawing, a pen. Mounted on his huge black destrier. Okay, that's a new word. Destrier. Well, that. The knight towered above Will and Garrod. On their Garons. That's another word I don't know. So Rayma had been a sworn brother of the Night's Watch. That's sick. Sworn brother of the Night's Watch. Mormont. Okay, new character. So Mormont. Who's Mormont? Mormont said we should track them, and we did. They're dead. They shan't trouble us anymore. Freaking a lot of like morbidity already going on. There's hard riding before us. I don't like the sweater. If it snows, we could be a fortnight getting back. If it snorts. Fortnight! And the snow's the best we can hope for. Ever seen an ice storm, my lord? Ever seen an ice storm, my lord? The lordling. I've never heard of the word lordling. Malisters. Ooh, I like this guy. I think he's my favorite. Okay. I don't know. There seem to be a few of them. Yeah, he's my favorite so far. Okay, so Malisters... Free riders had caught him red-handed in Malister's own woods. This chapter, by the way, is called Prologue. When I got closer, I saw that she was me. George R.R. Martin is giving me e-girl vibes. But anyway. So you're still talking about the weather. You ought to dress more warmly, blah, blah, blah. How did you find the wall? So why are they talking about this wall? What the heck is the wall? Oh my god, they're still talking about the weather! We've had a few light frosts this past week and a quick flurry of snow now and then. Everyone says Tolkien is pedantic with how far he explains it, scenery, but I've never felt like it was this repetitive with Tolkien. Men clad in fur and leather, still talking about the weather. A light snow had fallen the night before. Oh my god, we know. Did I already highlight that? Under the thin crust of snow, yeah, shocking. Let's look up a few things, because I'm getting annoyed right now. Is the wall the Antarctic wall in Game of Thrones? What is going on? What is the wall? What the heck is the wall? No, but honestly, is this a freaking flat earth reference? Is this what that moment when you realize Game of Thrones is about the flat earth? This is exactly what flat earthers believe, that there's a giant Antarctic wall that surrounds our entire planet. Is that what he's alluding to? Because he's talking about how much snow there is and that they're heading towards the wall, potentially. Okay. Oh my god. Is that what Game of Thrones is? About the wall? Oh my god, because this is what flat earthers believe in, that there's a giant Antarctic wall surrounding our entire land circumference. A wall of ice and fire? Oh my god. That moment in time when you realize the Game of Thrones series is actually about the flat earth? Is it? I don't know. I think there's something to this here. Okay, the other place I wanted to look at was Castle Black. Okay, Castle Black. What is this? Some sort of hiding out in the freaking wall? I don't know. Okay, keep going. So, maybe it would help to have this imagery here. Okay. It was cold! Shivering. Shocking. Sir Waymar met him bravely. Dance with me, then, he says. He lifted his sword high over his head, defiant. The other halted. Will saw its eyes blew deeper. Okay, who the heck is this? Is this a monster? They're calling him the Other, so is this some sort of like, I don't know, demon monster from the ice? Okay, the prologue's almost done, so let's go. Now Waymar says something for Robert. He shouted and came up with snarling, lifting his frost-covered long sword. So let's look up two things. One, who the heck is Robert and who is the Other? Okay, so this is Robert. This is he said for Robert. I don't know. Cool. Does not ring a bell to me. And then this is the Other. I don't know. So they are like ice beings. Are they? Oh my god. So is this about like other land beyond Antarctica and the monsters or the other species that exist beyond there? Because what the actual hecky? Seems like there's so far like, what is it? The Order of the Knights. So the Night's Watch seem to be like, I don't know, some sort of guerrilla team that go against these freaking, whatever these things are. White Walkers. Let's see if there's any mysterious, oh god, mysterious race of beings from the far north. They're exceptionally tall and lean with piercing blue eyes and pale skin. George Martin described them as strange, beautiful, inhuman, elegant, and dangerous. So random. Whatever. We are in chapter 1 now for sure. I just finished chapter 1. It's quite short actually. Look at that. And yeah, so you get introduced to basically this guy named Bran, the Starks, because he talks about them, and then Jon Snow. So I'm going to look them up because I think at least Jon Snow is a protagonist. I didn't realize he was a young boy when I was reading this. Yeah, I don't recognize him. Maybe. Okay, now I do recognize this photo. Okay. So I don't know if this is my favorite character or the other guy yet. Maybe. Oh, is he the one in the wheelchair? Wonder what happens to him. Okay, so that's Bran, and then obviously House of Stark. So obviously this reminds me of Iron Man and Tony Stark, but no, so I do recognize Jon Snow, Bran Stark. So yeah, and Arya I do recognize too. But like, so this first chapter is about Bran and Jon, and they're talking, and I don't know where they're going, but talking to their father. So I'm assuming that's, I don't know. It's kind of just world building. Like, they're just kind of hanging out and you're kind of getting to know a bit about, like, the House of Stark by them just hanging out. They're kind of like doing a family hunting or something. Okay, chapter 2 is called Caitlin. I'm assuming that's her. Caitlin Tully, House of Stark. So Caitlin had never liked this Godswood. What the hell is Godswood? She had been born a Tully. Oh, but she married into the Stark family. Blah, 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 about the freaking woods. Okay, but she would find her husband here tonight. Ned had built a small sept. Who the heck is Ned? Ned had built a okay, whatever. The heck is a weirwood? I feel like he's inventing these, but maybe not. Caitlin found her husband beneath the weirwood. Okay. Arya is already in love, and Sansa is charmed and gracious, but Rickon is not quite. So is this their... Yeah, so this is the two parents, so Eddard and Caitlin, and they're talking about Arya, Sansa, and Rickon. So I don't know who Rickon is. Oh, that guy. Okay. So I guess he's saying they all have someone, but Rickon is not quite sure. Is he afraid? A little, she admitted. He is only 3. What the heck is this? Ned frowned. He must learn to face his fears. He will not be 3 forever, and the winter is coming. What? The winter is coming. Is that like the catchphrase for the series? Winter is coming. This is annoying me. 1 second. Winter is coming, said the Stark words. So far, I mean, that was chapter 2. That was a really quick read. Honestly, this is incredibly easy to read. I could probably recommend this. I feel like this is easier to read than Harry Potter. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of war terminology that's probably not, like, as exciting as Harry Potter. But in terms of, like, following along. There's not much going on. So Daenerys is number 3. Okay. That was intense. I just got done reading the first Daenerys chapter. I think it's chapter 3. Yeah, it gets really degenerate really fast. I mean, there's something about, let's go through it. I think she's from a town or a place called Dragonstone. Okay, so obviously this is the Targaryen family tree. So yeah, it seems like... Okay, so we just got done with the House of Stark, so we knew them. We actually did get introduced to Jon Snow. And now we're getting introduced to the Targaryen family, so Daenerys. And what I'm seeing here is that, yeah, already really degenerate, because let's go to Dragonstone. So we know about Castle Rock. Let's call it. Apparently, Daenerys is from Dragonstone, and her brother and family, whatever, they lose it, or they've already lost it in the first introduction to her, and she's about to be sold as she's about to be forced to wed someone. So I think the guy that she's forced to wed is a Khal Drogo, potentially. So potentially she has to be wed to this weird guy. It looks like that's exactly what goes on, right? So, obviously she doesn't want to marry him, but the alternative is even more grim, because she's saying that in her family, they actually just, intermarry, and I'm aware that this is historical, kingdoms did intermarry, but it's like, I don't know, it feels weird to force it when you're doing a complete fantasy world where you could have taken any... I heard this before, that in Tolkien, he has, this morality. Clearly, even though there's all this evil in the world, fundamentally, Tolkien's motif is that God is more powerful than any evil in the world. But in this one, I'm not getting that. I'm just getting, degeneracy as point blank. Just accept it. There's nothing, pulling you forward to, a sense of God. So, Khal Drogo. Now, her brother, who she was gonna marry to otherwise, if she hadn't been conquered, would be... His name is Dany. So, no, it seems like it's Viserys. I think Daenerys' nickname is Dany, but Viserys... I did not expect this character to look like this. I get that him and Daenerys are siblings, so they would look the same. This guy did not go viral. I'd not seen him before at all. I don't recognize him. Interesting. He seems really wicked and says some really grotesque things about his sister. It's like, whoa. Did he have to say that? I would not recommend this to any kids at all. I don't even know if I would recommend this to adults. No, to anyone who likes this kind of stuff, but it's just not my cup of tea. Okay, from here on, I'm just gonna extremely skim read, because I'm already lost interest in terms of, actually becoming a fan. I feel like it's a bit arbitrary and silly where this is going, but I get that there's houses going on so far. So now this Eddard. So let's look up who Eddard is. Eddard Stark. Is this played by the same guy? I thought this was the same guy as Jon Snow. I thought this was Jon Snow, but just without the snow. Okay, this is a completely different character. And is it played by the guy in Lord of the Rings? I can't tell for sure if there's just memes that they look like each other or what. Okay, this guy did go viral. Yeah, I know it. I've seen it before. Okay, so I think his short name is Ned. So I'm just gonna keep going really fast. Anytime that something... Take me down to your crypt, Eddard. So, maybe he lost his wife. The winters are hard. Not again. Winter is coming. I swear, women lose all modesty in the heat. Oh my god. Short gowns. It makes me appreciate Tolkien so much more, that Tolkien did not have to revert to doing anything degenerate, and that Tolkien was a fantasy romance author that really, really, stood loyal to archaic romance and the knight proving himself before he becomes a king and before he can marry kind of thing. And yeah, not showing any explicit scenery. Meanwhile, this has a lot of commentary already that is just would not be okay to say out loud. In the centuries before the Dragon Lords came over the sea, they had sworn allegiance to no man. Yeah, and I don't feel like there's an overarching theme. Like, I've heard about the wall, but like it just kind of seems like I'm setting up every character just a little bit like a snapshot of their daily life, but there's no like, I don't know, any compelling larger narrative right now. I don't see any throne wars or anything too severe just yet. It's just like, I don't even know if these families interact with each other that well just yet. Winter was coming. Oh my god, he said it again. Oh my god. Sorry, but this is very overrated writing. Jon! I think this is a Jon Snow chapter. Okay, I keep hearing this guy named Lannister, so let me look it up. Is this like another... It is. So this is another family tree. That's the best image. Okay, here's all of them together. So, oh, is that like... Okay, so, yeah, we've run through Stark, we've run through the Targaryen. I don't think I've mentioned the Baratheon just yet, or at least I don't really know. And then the Lannister is the last one, I think. Oh my god. Direwolves. Summer Warm. I don't see, like, the plot at all. They're just having fun at a freaking banquet, but there's nothing that's, like, pulling me in. Back to Caitlyn. Caitlyn's bedchamber was the hottest. Caitlyn's bath was always hot and steaming. Okay, bro. The Starks were made for the cold. Caitlyn pulled the furs up to her chin. They're still talking about their kids. I don't know if they're trying to marry them all, if that's just what's going on. It's like kind of Bridgerton-y. Now it's Arya. So Arya Stark. So this girl's very viral too. She has stitches. She looks over to her sister. So her sister is Sansa Stark. Yeah, she's a really famous actress. Yeah, I do like her. Okay, so now this is about Arya and her sister, Sansa. Okay, there's two more characters. So, Nymeria. Oh, is she talking to a freaking wolf? Oh, so the House of Stark talks to wolves. Oh, so they all talk to animals. Like, Stark talk to wolves. Targaryens talk to dragons. I see. Okay. Septa Mordane. Okay, random. I'm waiting for the inciting incident where everything changes. Right now it's just kind of like still the setup. I'm 70 pages in and now it's Bran. Bran had been left behind with Jon and the girls. Boring. That was the most boring chapter so far. Alright, let's look at Tyrion Lannister. Oh, this is gonna be the famous guy. He's obviously very famous. This is about him. Looked up from his books and shivered through the library was snug and warm. Tyrion shut the heavy leather-bound book on the cover. He was reading a 100-year-old discourse on the changing of the seasons by a long dead master. Okay, I have to repeat that. So, is there an image of Tyrion reading? So yeah. So he's reading, and it says he's reading a 100-year-old discourse on the changing of the seasons. Winter is coming! So what animals do the Lannisters have? Let me check if it'll say. Lions? Do they talk to lions? Yeah, I guess. I did not see any lion. I have not heard of lions in the Game of Thrones, so that's a news to me. So let me see Game of Thrones animals, because these are like Hogwarts houses. Oh, look at this! I think this one might be... What? I'm so confused. I guess those are animals. Whatever. Okay. Direwolf Stark, Lion Lannister, Dragon Targaryen, and Stag Baratheon, Trout, Tully, Falcon, Aaron, and Kraken. Where is he getting these from? This is so random. I don't know. It's a bit silly to me. Like, I get the vibe, but it is like Harry Potter. And I would feel like it should feel a bit more sophisticated if it's about war and like ancient history, but it just feels a bit silly and arbitrary. But anyway, okay, so blah blah blah. His reading lamp was flickering. Tyrion was not much for sleeping. Okay, remember that there's freaking 800 pages here that I'm going through, so this is a lot. So blah 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 blah. And now again, Daenerys. So Daenerys is the only storyline that I'm really interested. Okay. So yeah, I'm on the second chapter. I don't know what chapter it is. It doesn't say the number. It just says Daenerys. I guess these are. It's not even POVs because it's not the POV. It's just like the about. I don't even see a freaking table of contents here. Yeah, there's no table of contents. At least in the version I have. Okay, so she ends up wedding that barbarian. That's so sad. I guess her brother got something in exchange for this. I don't really know. Best we get Princess Diana, or I don't know if she's wed. So her brother's really upset that she wakes up the dragon. I don't really know why. Oh my god. The day of the wedding came at last. I never felt so alone. Okay, I can't keep doing this. I'm only 100 pages in, and I'm really bored and stuff. So I'm just gonna skip a few. Yeah, I don't like the way this is written. I think it's really confusing, and I still don't see. I think at this point I'm gonna have to just watch somebody review it because I can't with this anymore. I thought I was gonna like it, but it's just like I just don't feel like interested in this at all. There's nothing compelling to me about this. Yeah, this is not my cup of tea. I would not say this is anywhere the ranks of any other series. This is like bottom tier for me. Like I don't even believe that this became popular. Oh, at the end he does have a little appendix. I do appreciate the appendix, so I'm gonna film that, and that's about it. Okay, so this ends my book review. So that's all I plan to read from the Game of Thrones series. I've had enough personally. I do appreciate that there is a template that he's formulated that you could definitely copy if you wanted to. So I think that's what I'm going to take away from it. Now, I do have the other ones, but I just don't really care for them. So I'll probably sell them, give them away, and yeah. Or just keep them as like a novelty. There's plenty of them. I'm wondering like how bad they are ranked in terms of if they get worse and worse or if he gets a bit better towards the end. I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you've read them. And yeah, this has been my review of the Game of Thrones book series. Okay, y'all. Yeah, what do you think? Do you agree with my review? It's certainly, really quick, my glance at it, but I feel like after some research, I kind of put the story together quite well in terms of like my own understanding. So anyway, I think that's it. I just have my outro now, which is like my experience so it was down in Spain. I forget exactly where it was. But yeah, it's a castle where they filmed one of the scenes. So I'm going to put up the vlog now. And again, I had this vlog out like ages ago. Before I even learned about the Game of Thrones or anything. But yeah, anyway, it's in terms of, my final words on it, I think it's a bit too déclassé, if you know what that word means. Definitely a Tolkien, Lord of the Rings girly to the core. But it did teach me a bit about, like, writing in terms of empires and how to distinguish families and kind of like how they would intermarry and things like that. So also, the fact that each of them have like some sort of slogan, while very tacky in a way, it's also a template. So yeah, I'd say if you're a writer and you want to pull anything from Game of Thrones, just look at the appendix at the very end. It does a good job of like explaining. I think I've showed it in the video, but yeah, this one says House of Baratheon. It tells you what their sigil is, a crown stag, and then so each family has a word This one says, "Ours is the Fury." And it tells you, like, the list of family members. Then you get the House of Star. Of course, winter is coming. They're, what, I think they're the werewolves. House of Lannister. They've got the lion, and their words are, "Hear me roar." Oh my god. Yo, like, even freaking, God, what's that other series by Tolkien's friend? The Lion and the Witchcraft. Oh god. What? Chronicles of Narnia. I feel like Chronicles of Narnia is even written better than this. But anyway. House of Aaron. So yeah, I think this is kind of like the most redeeming part, is his really good breakdowns at the end. In terms of the story, not my cup of tea again. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate your comments. Randomly stumbled on this. Thanks for your comments. But yeah, I'm gonna play the last video now, and yeah, hopefully it's entertaining. Oh my god, it was years ago, so I'm a lot, like, I don't know, I want to say I was like 20. God, I must have been like 26 in this video that I'm about to play. So yeah, here's 26-year-old me going to a castle very similar to this. I mocked this up on AI, but yeah, it's a castle that I went to in Spain that they filmed Game of Thrones a scene in, and it looks very much like this on the outside. So I wanted to show you guys because it's quite interesting, and I do recommend like going to the filming locations. I've been to like 2. There was another one that I went to in Spain as well. That was kind of like a Colosseum looking thing. But anyway, here we go. That's it for me. After all, I will end the stream. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me. And I know it's been a while. I think my next video is gonna be on Mortal Kombat. I think there's a new movie out. So yeah, I'm gonna like review the entire series. And yeah, thanks so much for being here with me. Here we go. Yeah, this is the castle. Oh, this is what it's called. Almodovar de Rio. I don't know if I should like stay. Okay, let me stay for a bit, because that way I can like point things out. Okay, this is the castle.
Hey y'all,
it's so awesome.
My channel. This castle resides in Almodovar del Rio. It's a province of Córdoba, Spain. The castle was built in the year 760. It's most famous for appearing in an episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh my god, wait. I'm just gonna wait.
Alright, so let's start the road trip.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
We were staying up to
Wait.
year 7. Hey y'all, thanks for joining my channel. This castle resides in Almodovar del Rio. It's a province of Córdoba, Spain. The castle was built in the year 760. It's most famous for appearing in an episode of Game of Thrones. Alright, so let's start the road trip. We drove from where we were staying up to the castle, which was about a 10-minute drive, parked down below, and then you were able to walk up to your own content. Really, there wasn't many signs telling you where to go, so it was kind of cool figuring out where exactly the entrance was. One of my first impressions while we were walking up, since the castle was built on a hill, it just seemed like archers could have been throwing bows at us if they wanted to in the olden days. My cousin's pointing out the famous balcony that's shown in the episode. I believe it's season 7. My sister joined us as well. So in total there was a group of 4 of us. So right away, they showcase how the castle was used in Game of Thrones. Our first instinct was to walk around the railings on the outskirts of the castle.
I mean, this tree is just absolutely gorgeous. It extends out.
And you could see these beautiful views residing over the town. We probably did around a 360 around the castle, walking around those railings before we noticed that there wasn't anything else inside in terms of, rooms. I haven't personally kept up with the show Game of Thrones. It's just never particularly taken my interest. Hello, we're in the castillo. At this point, I didn't realize that there was going to be a lot more rooms inside the castle. I was really excited and wanted to film almost everything. So once you walk around the railings, you'll find yourself in the middle of the castle, and that's where this entire plaza that looks like it's from Sword Art Online shapes up. You start seeing all the emblems walking through. So the first room that I found was the big dining hall. And also this chapel that had a dome. So after you walk through the plaza and the main floor, then you can start to go up the stairs and find yourself in different corners. I guess they're called different wards or different wings of the tower. That also has a 360 pathway, so you can go up each tower and find different rooms. So I ended up going all the way to the top of one tower. So once you go up, you're basically at the same height of all the other wings of the tower, but it was giving me vertigo.
It is honestly quite terrifying to be high up. Now the stairs are kind of freaky in themselves because they kind of remind me of like a ghost tower. Like, to go down all these stairs. It's kind of freaky. Ready? So honestly, y'all should share some of your favorite ghost stories because I feel like this castle could very well be haunted. You hear all sorts of noises and there's these tiny, tiny windows. Oh my god.
The windows are really small. It seems like you could shoot an arrow out of that. I guess that's maybe what the purpose of those are. Yeah, so you end up in different rooms and they have expositions laid out, like the clothing and the model of the castle.
It's like a birthday cake.
And finally, you find yourself where they're showcasing all the swords and weapons that they use in different eras. Oh, there's my cousin and my sister. We kind of separated and we all joined together to visit the rest of the castle together.
¿Quieres que grabe Claudia mientras...?
No.
Ay, que está el temporizador, mierda. ¿Cómo se quita? Aquí.
Personally, I guess I'd love to train how to combat with swords. Is that too much of a pipe dream? Or is it reasonable?
¿Cómo lo haría de verdad? Es lo que estoy pensando.
Pues una pierna para ejercer presión, la otra para apoyarse. Es en plan, una abajo y otra arriba así para... Ahí.
Pulling the Excalibur sword. That sword was concrete. Makes for a good photo. Okay, here we are, 30 minutes before the castle closing, and we find the specific area where there's a battle scene in Game of Thrones that we wanted to reenact, my cousins and my sister and I. And of course, we had to do that before we left. Why not?
Venga, ponerse todo, que yo... Vale, voy a mirar cómo te... Ponte tú, Ali, un segundo. Yo voy un poquito sin tapar la cara. Ya. Venga, Ali, ponte.
Me encanta, mamá, que le haga la foto ahí, toma por ahí con cara.
Oye, pues hay otra escena en la que hay más muertos. Ay, me encanta, la voy a subir,
So once we walked back down the hill, there's a little bar that we could sit and wait and watch until the tower lights went up at night, and we did that, and then we went back home. It was a really cool experience. I have to say it was around maybe like 10 to 20 euros to enter. but overall it was such a worth it experience. It was so fun thinking about how people would have had to live through these times, and this was their home. It's very exposed. It gave kind of a dark, edgy, like creepy vibe to it. If I could go there again, I would want to dress up and cosplay a character. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe if you're interested in more videos like this. Thank you so much. And oh yeah, comment ghost stories if you have.
God.
Any.
Yeah.
Specifically castle ghost stories.
So, wow, that was me when I was like so young. Yeah, I'm like 34 now. I am dual nationality if you're wondering why I speak 2 languages. Yeah, I was born in America. But anyway, yeah, very exciting. I do really enjoy that tour. I just seen your message. You go 819. Is there a Discord? Yes. It's kind of abandoned though. I don't use it as much, but it should be in the links below. I do use Twitter a lot more, so if you want to reach me, I am on Twitter. It should be net__void. I think I put it down in the links below too. But no, I appreciate if you're like just want to reach out and talk about books, series, or anything. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and hope you had fun reviewing Game of Thrones. And see y'all next time. Bye. Oh yeah, let me put on a super cool song that I made on the AI, inspired by Game of Thrones before I leave, because it's actually quite hilarious how cool it is. There's 2. One's a bit more intense. I'll play the more intense one. Pretty sick. I was like, Game of Thrones inspired soundtrack. I came up with this. Oh my god, I have a sword. I don't know if I should have a fake sword on stream though. I have it on my thumbnail. So this is one of them. Sick. Still one more. Nice one. Yeah. Such a nice song, isn't it? Yeah, AI made that.